Hi everyone, thank you for clicking into this sharing. I'm Sharon. I'm going to share about my experience on my summer research fellowship last year. Yeah, so this is the table of contents that I'll be sharing for the next around 5 or 10 minutes, and you can select where you would like to focus your time on. For the time being, I'll be talking about expectations and supervision related stuff, and also kind of some of the practical advice that I give to prospective students like you guys. Yeah, for the first part, I would like to talk about expectations and goals because before everything starts, before you start planning for your own project, there are some questions that you might want to ask yourself. For example, how much time you would like to dedicate in this project, like in reality, because summer is a very relaxing and fun time. You might have lots of friends going to like traveling and your families. They might not know that you have a project going on. So how much time would you like to spend during the summer on your project? And the second question would be you might need to account for any possible complications, especially in Hong Kong nowadays, whether be it like political or public health issues. Things might be different in summer, but you might need to account for whether you'll be able to go to school for your lab work, or would it interfere with your field work, and would you be able to meet your supervisors on time, etc. So when you're planning for your project, you might need to think about these possible complications and if you have any solutions if this happens. And also, many members, for example, my friends, they would actually continue her work as the FYP during this summer research fellowship, for example, as part of the pilot tests for maybe sample size, or if the methodology works out. And this gives them a better sense of preparation before an academic year starts, like before a final year project begins. Maybe you would like to spend a summer doing tests on things that you are interested in before really starting a very important final year project. Or another option is, well, summer is a relaxing time, and you might like to try something new and fun just for the summer. And I think it's completely up to you. And yeah, before you plan for your project, you might need to think about these two options. And finally, you might also want to ask yourself what type of supervision would be most beneficial to your own like well-being or for your own growth. For example, maybe you're independent, because this also depends on your personality. If you're independent, then you don't need much guidance, and you would need a supervisor that's might be like give you more space, or they are okay with you not being like meeting them every day, etc. You might also think about what you might want to get after like the outcome of the summer research fellowship. Besides for the results, you might want some networking within your field. For example, you might want to know other researchers from other institutions, and would your supervisor be able to provide you with that networking? So this is something you would need to consider as well. And finally, if you lack discipline, then you might need a supervisor that's more present, right? He or she might need to be with you at certain times to guide you on something, and you might need to look for that type of personality of supervisors, and this is just something that you might want to think about before beginning to plan for your project. For me, I'm a ecology and biodiversity major student, but I also minor in environmental science. And I've always been interested in plastic pollution and reduction. And that has nothing to do with my final year project or even with my major. So I did a standalone project with Dr. Christian Knott, whom I've known for a couple of years already, and she's the only one who's done microplastics research at Hong Kong U. So you might also need to think about how much time you would like to spend, especially for my discipline. Fieldwork and lab work are both super important. So I actually spent 3 to 4 days a week at the lab during the summer, which is in my opinion, quite a lot. And yeah, so things will get more serious in summer, but at this preparation stage, before you apply for your SRF, you might already need to think about all these things I mentioned in the previous slide. Next, the supervisors, and I think most of you would be interested in knowing more about how to approach prospective supervisors. I think, like me, if you already knew them in the first place, that would be great. So you don't have to be so shy about things, and you just can come up to them anytime, and that would be good. But nevertheless, you still have to get to know their leadership and communication styles, like different personalities do get along in a different way. So if you are very particular about it, you might need to understand how they communicate. For example, in emails, and you would get a hint about how they would prefer to communicate with their students and stuff like that. And also, if you're majoring in biological sciences and some other lab work intensive majors, you might need to know if the lab members are present during summer, because your supervisor isn't going to be around you, be beside you all the time. And when you need help or when you need advice, the lab members would be crucial. And also their scale and size and resources of the lab, which would help you determine whether you can do the project that you like, and if they have enough resources for you, if they're willing to, for example, buy solutions for you to carry out your lab work, etc. And finally, which is one of the most important thing, is to research on their previous publications of your supervisor and see if you're interested in their topics. Yeah, and this would be a base of, you will base this and come up with your own project ideas if you're ready to come up to them and approach them via email. But always leave room for compromise, because time is limited. You only have a summer, and what you have in mind might be too much for the summer. So you can come up with your own idea, but always leave room for compromise. And you need to be realistic and research on their previous publications, or else you don't really have that source of resource or opinion, like their previous knowledge on a total alien subject. Then this supervisor might not be able to support you if your project ideas are so far from what they're good at. And yeah, then it comes to a research proposal. And I don't actually have much to say, because I assume that you guys are good at writing already, perhaps. I just had like a few ideas, like because this research proposal is the first thing that you would do, and you have to really impress your audience. And yeah, this is just like pitching. You have to identify gaps and sell like how unique your research is going to be, how unique and exciting your research is going to be. And yeah, just be this glamorous dragon, and who cares about what your thesis looks like, right? And yeah, do as much research as possible at this stage, because at this stage you are like more free and you don't have much things to do. And yeah, just need to take the time to really look into different literatures and papers. And my experience, like from my experience, at this stage, the literature review is basically what you will refer to when you really do your research in summer. Like when you're writing your poster, introduction, and results analysis. At this stage, the papers are, you will refer to things that you read at this exact stage. So don't be lazy, just do as much research as possible at this stage. Yeah, also, don't be a deadline fighter, because you have to allow time for your supervisors to give comments. After all, you're just an undergraduate student. They would have more professional and experienced to share when you finally finish your draft. So please send them your draft by email and give them time to revise it. And finally, just a reminder that things might not work out as you expected, but it's totally okay. And it's not saying that you would end up like this, but yeah, you just have to accept things might work out differently later. But for now, you just do your best on writing up your research proposal. Finally, I would like to share some like valuable lessons I gained through SRF, and this is me, and these are the microplastics that I found in a wastewater treatment plant. Anyway, in general, I think summer research fellowship is basically a tool that paves the way to your FYP or even your MPhil or PhD, because I'm assuming if you're interested in SRF, then you're basically interested in staying in the academia after you graduate, and this could be one of the way you discover whether you're really interested in doing research, because like this perhaps would be the first completely individual project that you've done ever, because like Hong Kong U is really keen on doing group projects and stuff. Yeah, so SRF will definitely let you know yourself better on rather your strengths and weaknesses, etc. Especially if you are, for example, you're writing your proposal, and which section did you most procrastinate your time on? Like, are you a type of person who don't like to write introduction because you have to do a lot of literature review? Then you must work on your weakness, right? And also your problem-solving skills, because this is like an individual project. You must be responsible for your own stuff, your own progress, etc. And if you encounter any problem, you will be the one who comes up with solution and try to improve the situation, right? And also, yeah, communication with supervisors and other lab members, because many people would imagine being a researcher is just like a type of jobs that's very suitable for like introverts and those who don't speak much or are shy, etc. But actually, that's not the truth. We don't sit in front of the computer for 10 hours a day. We also relied on communication, and that's a way to get up-to-date informations and advice on how to carry out different methodologies and stuff like that. So yeah, I really treasure my time with my supervisor and the lab members in Dr. Christelle Knott's lab. And yeah, I really think it's very useful, and it's a valuable network that you're doing during your undergraduate years. So yeah, so on the whole, it's like a very humbling experience in my own opinion, because we might find ourselves not knowing what to do, and realizing others are doing much better than you are, and yeah, and you have to learn from others basically. You might be performing better than other students in your courses, but when you're in SRF, when you are surrounded by other scholars and intelligent lab members, and you're suddenly find this is highly humbling experience. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend you to treat this as a learning process. So yeah, that's about it. That's about it. That's my presentation. And if you have any questions, just email me by this email address. And yeah, I'm Sharon. Thank you for listening. Bye.